I just don't want to be the rude guy that leaves early.
Yeah, no worries. Are there things that you want to talk about before you headed out that you want to prioritize in the first half?
No, thank you for asking, but no, not this time.
Cool. All right. Cool. Should we get started? We're now live streaming. Thanks, Javier. I guess let's start with outstanding spec PRs. Right. So starting at the bottom, this acid package stuff is dependent on Anthony's PR being merged in. I did look at it, over this last week. And I might just merge it in independent of other people approving it just because it's not an RFC. So I don't think it has the same level of kind of restrictions around it. Well, let's talk about the builder distribution spec stuff. Is this the only kind of, I guess, controversial point on this spec PR? Is that right, Javier?
Yes, I believe so. I don't know that we've gotten consensus or agreement from anybody else about everything else either, though. So I'm not sure if people have reviewed it in depth.
Okay. I know I've looked through it and I feel mostly fine with it with the direction we're going. Were you able to touch base with Steven before he left for the holidays?
Yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it in time. And yeah, I don't know that there's enough or too much more pressure. The mentorship did, come to a conclusion. Everything went well with that. We just had this, left over to finish up on our side.
Is he going to finish that, or are you taking this over?
I don't mind taking it over. I would probably request that he try to finish it, but if he basically becomes non-respondent, I don't mind taking it over.
Okay. Cool. Good to know. I did bug Joe. I don't know if he's had a chance to look at it. Have you talked with Natalie at all on her thoughts here? Obviously, Jesse did chime in.
Yeah. No, I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow up because I didn't even see Jesse's follow-up from 2 days ago.
Okay, cool. So this is at least moving along. Let's see. So I reviewed a bunch of other stuff. All kind of came from Natalie. They all seem like most of them related to basically this 276 from RFC 95. Updating the platform spec around performance with storing stuff from SBOMs. I agree, for me, that option 1 seems to be the choice that I would vote for. Just kind of keeping the roles and responsibilities of the various files seems to make sense. But if others have thoughts, please do chime in on the issue. That's 276. And then, yeah, so we have basically 278 and 280 that I think are related to that. And then 2 of these kind of other ones that are small and simple, but I don't expect much movement, seeing as half of the core team is on vacation. So I don't imagine any of this stuff is going to get merged in. for the holidays. That's all I had for the spec PR stuff. Does anyone have anything related to spec changes I'm missing? Can take the silence as a no. Milestone stuff. I did talk a bit with Joe on Project Scripter Point 2, and he said that he had a one-on-one with you, Javier, where both of you got to catch up on stuff, and he was going to come up with a plan for getting Point 2 out, I guess. But I don't exactly know what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know we didn't talk about like the release or basically anything to do with versioning. But I think initially I was under the understanding that we would try to release Project Descriptor 02 as is for the most part, because it's already been implemented. So maybe there's a slight confusion there, and we should clarify that. Is Joe out for the rest of the year already?
No, he's around. He just has other meetings, I think, for this slot. I mean, one of the things maybe to think about for the new year going forward is I feel like he does have conflicts a lot of times during this time, so he hasn't made a lot of them. I think since moving over to his new job in Salesforce. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, he is around. So if you ping him on Slack, he will respond. I think he is at least here until next week. I think the next 2 weeks
cool.
He's out, but he's around for the whole of this week. So if you need to talk to him about something.
Sounds good.
Cool. That's it. That's all I had for kind of milestone stuff. I moved all the kind of OPAC 0.8 and 0.9 issues that Natalie opened on the respective milestones as well.
I had a question about Project Descriptor 2. Is there any reason like why we're not releasing it? Like all the issues are already done and like they're implemented in platforms already. Like I think like a few months ago we confirmed whether like this was going to be merged or not, and I believe Terrence, you said that like this is already been decided and merged, and like are there going to be changes to Project Descriptor 2 at this point? Because then it would make.
I don't think so, but I don't. Yeah, I mean, I want to catch up with Joe to figure out what issues he has that is preventing him from wanting to release this. Like from my point of view, I shared, I feel like what I said a few months hasn't changed. Like Javier said, right? It's implemented as well as you did, right? Like it's implemented, it's out there. Like I feel like there should be a spec release for it if it's out in the wild and it's being used via software at this point. And then anything else, like we can also release a Project Descriptor 0.3 that isn't a burn the world, like that could just add like the images table, for instance, from that one RFC. Like if that's what we decide to do as a project, like it's not, I don't know, doesn't seem crazy to me if that's the path we want to go down.
Yeah, that's probably worth discussing. I'll bring it up in the spec channel and see if we could get buy-in from Joe, since I think he's owning that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I felt similarly to some degree with like even the builder spec. Like I know Emily had some concerns, but I felt like it was better to get something out there in the wild that was reflecting what people were actually doing with builders, and then kind of iterate on that. But I think I was in the minority in that respect on the core team. So, and we still don't have a builder extension spec, but at least some of that stuff is being moved into distribution. I don't know if that answers your question, Sam, but or maybe it doesn't satisfyingly answer your question.
So I was just curious because like this is already implemented. I know users using it. So if there are any changes to it, I think that ship has sailed at this point. Like it would be weird if we changed anything here at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I can, after this set of meetings for CNB, I can maybe just open the PR that merges this into main, because that's part of the release step, and then at least there's like a async way to potentially have some of those conversations as well. Cool. Are we good moving on to RCs? The other stuff you want to bring up? Cool. Let's look at active RCs. Just starting on the bottom. As far as I know, this is still blocked. This is, should we move this into blocked until basically some of those POC implementation stuff is done at this point? Seems like Stephen, as the original author, wanted to explicitly not merged until some more details were hashed out. So,
Yeah, I think it makes sense to at least put it in a status where we don't have to bring it up every week.
yeah.
Steven said he would. Oh yeah, he did. Okay.
So I'm just gonna reflect what he said there. Cool. System bill packs. I think this is actually blocking on me. I need to sync with Joe on, I guess, some of this stuff, but I think I had open stuff from last time I reviewed this of things that just need to get resolved one way or another. Exportable layers. Just you, Sam?
It's still
Still
blocked.
blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we should probably make this active list, filter out blocked.
Yeah.
Potentially review those separately.
Project descriptor, converter. I assume this is actually blocked on decisions around what we want to do with project descriptor. Or do we want to do this independent of that?
I have not had a chance to read this one. I didn't realize it was here.
This is from Mike, August 20th.
Yeah, I do think that there's some impact to new discussions happening that would invalidate the converter itself, at least that sort of interface.
Are those related to discussions you were having with Joe in your one-on-one?
Yeah. Mhm.
Are there things coming out of those discussions, or is it still just discussing?
There's a new proposal that I'm writing based on Sam's idea that I think will check off a lot of from all parties.
Okay.
And that's the one that I think has a lot of impact to the converter.
Okay.
I'm not sure what we want to do with it, but I would definitely say it's probably not worth merging in at this point if we're not going to implement it.
Okay. Cool. Run image.
Certainly not blocked to my knowledge. I'm waiting for votes at this point.
Okay, so there's no like outstanding issues or other things, right? That I could tell that people want to
No.
change. Okay, so do I have to change Joe and Ben? Status field is not RC. Let's see. support for PACTOML. This is contingent, I assume, on your discussions.
Yep. It's one of the many.
Okay, so replace positional args with M bars. I think the only kind of open thing was this part that Stephen asked about. But I think with him out, it may not get resolved until after the holidays. But if people have thoughts on kind of the reuse of the M bar name. Subteam RFC. Cosine integration. Sam?
I think we also brought it up with the KPAC folks, and they were gonna leave some details here about the implementation since they already have a working implementation on their side. Mostly around like the config format and passing variables to cosine. Yeah. Other interesting things to note, container D now supports cosine signing by default. So I don't know if that would be useful for the daemon integration parts in the future or not. But both Compose, which is like the open source version of Docker Compose, and containerd with nerdkernel now supported. So if Pack ever moves to those things instead of Docker, we might be able to solve it. But yeah, like that's related to the daemon part, like the first point there.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like the big open question more than some of those technical implementations is like, do we actually want this in lifecycle or not? Which it's unclear where people kind of sit on that particular thing. I know that was a point Jesse brought up last week when this was introduced.
Yeah, I'm okay with it in lifecycle for what it's worth. Yeah.
But there's potentially an open question around what do we want to do with like things that we want to encourage but are optional, and how we want to handle that within lifecycle. OCI recommend annotations, Sam? This also
think
has
it's just-
implications on the registry/daemon discussion, if I recall.
Yeah, from the last working group, I think most of the implementation and core team were okay with it being only for the registry use case because we already have differences between the daemon and the registry. But I'm waiting for approvals. I don't think there's any like there's nothing controversial about the RFC. It's just whether we'll implement it or not. So it's either.
Are there issues? I know in some of the things we've retired basically to not have the same information in multiple places.
I think,
but it being registry only obviously probably complicates that for this first iteration.
I mean, I think we already will be breaking that with like some of the SBOM and lifecycle stuff. So like there are fields in the output image that the lifecycle uses for its own bookkeeping versus like, although they're specced versus things that we want users to rely on. So I don't know what's the take on duplication. The other thing for what it's worth is since we currently attach them as labels, labels have an issue where if you like from a base image, the labels carry over, the annotations don't. So like a bunch of this information is like the original commit of the source that created the image, the base image, and other things like that, which should technically be invalidated if you like, create a derivative image out of it, but that's not possible with labels. So that, I think that's why on the OCI side, these are annotations instead of labels.
Right. But it sounds like you're just waiting for people to review and provide comments. The proposal for a CNCF Slack. Seems like I'm the one hold out on this. Yeah, I guess I am for the idea. One of the things that I wanted to, I guess, see was I haven't dug in because I know you have, Sam, but like, what does the actual transition look like? Like, what will it look like
So
for us to move to CNCF?
I guess at some point we'll take a snapshot of the current Slack channel for build packs and give that as a data dump to.
Right. Like, I know you detailed that here. But I guess like, what do, obviously like we can't just have the same room names and things. Like what is the mapping?
That's up to us to decide. Apparently, like when whoever does the merge, I guess they can choose whether to keep the original names, whether to remap them to a new name. So it doesn't necessarily have to be prefixed with build packs. We can have it be that way, but we can also do some things like the build packs general channel becomes the build packs channel, and everything else becomes build packs hyphen something if you want. Or...
Right. Is it worth trying to detail some of that plan out, or do you want that out of scope?
I don't know. I can. I don't know if people will have preferences. Like this is like naming and stuff. So I don't have a strong preference either way. I can try to put something in there.
I know I would personally love to see something. When I was around during the kind of when Ember did a similar move, like moving from Slack to Discord. I know a lot of those details were kind of fleshed out a little more. Just because.
You have a link to the.
Yes, I can find that and add it on the PR. It's not quite the same prior art, but I mean, I guess it's like somewhat similar.
One other open question that was there was like there are certain channels like KPAC, which are not part of CNB. And the CNCF Slack instance is technically like a paid enterprise thing, and it involves CNCF resources. So I don't know what the migration for those kind of channels would look like. I asked the KPAC team to confirm like what their restrictions are around the move and whether they'd be happy to move with us or whether they want to move to a different Slack.
Do they just use our Slack actually for KPAC?
That's yeah. Because it's a free instance and like no one pays for a Slack instance. I think they just have one channel and that's on our Slack.
Okay. It might be worth just mentioning that in here too. Okay. Some of those things that you just said. For me personally, like I don't know if I have a strong opinion or not. Like I'm fine with them moving along under like a build packs prefix of just like build packs platforms or something, right? Like here's a build pack platform. Cool.
I can try to come up with the mapping.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I am investigating to see if we can actually get a more complete history, but I'm not gonna block or hold out for that.
Apparently it does show me like we have 96,000 messages, but only 10,000 are viewable. So I'm guessing it's there somewhere.
Yeah, I think they definitely keep it because I know if you upgrade, you get all that history. but it's definitely like put behind a paywall. So I don't think they're like deleting it. But
Maybe you can upgrade with the company MX and then just immediately cancel it. If it's prorated, that's probably the move, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm investigating. I at least reach out to someone at Slack through our internal Slack about it, who I was talking to about getting us a open source something for our thing. And then kind of link to this RFC and said, we're looking to move in CNCF Slack, and can we actually get our history along with it to export? So I'll see what they say, but they also may be out for the holidays because they weren't online. Cool. And the last one is kind of the migration template. I think this is generally a good idea. I was for it, but just having anything explicitly for basically the template, or thinking about migrations, because I feel like we've been having a lot of features and things that affect basically backwards compatibility. But I think it's just waiting on people to review. So, cool. Well, that's all I had. Are there things we want to talk about for tomorrow? Do we want to have a meeting tomorrow?
There are some leftover agenda items from last time.
Okay. Do you want to just do those, or do you want to hold off until more people are around?
Yes, we can hold off. Are we doing the working group and stuff tomorrow?
Well, we could cancel it. I'm going to send an email today. So do people want to talk about specific things? What are the things we have? Nothing under future topics. Are they just stuff that was not
covered? I think there was like the label stuff that I wanted to talk about. Large labels, and I don't know what 181 is. Oh, the multiple app directories proposal. But
that's an actual RFC, isn't it?
Yes.
Is that a draft now? Did you not?
Did I not undraft it? I don't remember.
I don't see this. This one?
No. Wait, what? I'll try to find it.
This one, right?
No. Wait, is it that?
Combine organization.
No. I'll try to find it. It's.
Did I skip over it?
Where is it?
Additional exportable layers.
Yeah, that one.
This is. Oh, I skipped over because it's blocked. It's not blocked anymore, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about this tomorrow, or do you want to wait till there's a bigger group?
Given that like it was you, me, and Steven, I would wait for Steven to also be there.
Okay.
Who originally came up with this idea, so
yeah. Cool. I guess it's only three of us. Javier, do you have thoughts on tomorrow?
Sorry, I had to switch over. No. Again, given what I would assume would be a light audience, I think some of the things I want to talk about require a little bit more attendance.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the case, if we should just cancel it then, because then we don't. Yeah, just people being on holidays. If we want that larger kind of audience, like, should we just wait till the new year? But if you're waiting for Steven, he's like out till middle of January. So, I mean, I feel like that, yeah, that's like a month away. So you're talking about like 4 weeks.
I guess we can just present it when we have a good enough audience, and then we can loop Steven back in. He's back. I'm not expecting it to be merged by mid-January anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, given that, and I don't want to, I feel like, penalize issues that we talk about tomorrow. I think we should cancel tomorrow just because I think the group will be smaller. How do you all feel about that?
Sounds
I'm-
good.
yeah.
Should we cancel all meetings for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's up to each sub team what meetings they want to have. I don't know if you had a preference for basically the bat, if you want to do bat on Friday or not.
So I'll ask the other folks who typically attend if they're around.
I'm happy to have it or cancel it. So whatever you want to do there, Sam, or whatever, I guess like people are actually around for.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everyone.